all for being here this evening. The time is 6 p.m. on Monday, December 3rd. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Walter.
Here.
Vice Mayor Woolridge.
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Wall.
Here.
Councilmember Larsen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let's begin with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Thank you. Our next item is item 5, call to the public. Call to the public is for public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the town council. Council rules limit public comment to 3 minutes. Individual comments, council members may respond to criticism made by those commenting, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be placed on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless that matter is properly noticed for discussion and legal action. At this time, I have one call to the public, Reverend Donald Woolridge.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, Council, I want to thank you for allowing me this moment for 2 reasons. I want to first, as my wife steps down this evening, I want to thank in particular you, Madam Mayor, and Councilperson Kristen Larsen. I want to thank you for allowing me to hear from my wife how splendidly you two have put love into her life and allowed her to realize how important she is. And even though it has expressed her heartfelt appreciation for the council as a whole, she particularly points out how you all mean so much to her. And Madam Mayor, you know that God has blessed you two to bridge some gaps, and I want to thank you. Now, I want to just take a moment to thank my wife for who she is. And I want to share something that a writer has written. He says, "My plan for your life, Vallarie, is unfolding before you. Sometimes the road you're traveling seems blocked, or it opens up so painfully slowly that you must hold yourself back. Then when time is right, the way before you suddenly clears through no effort of your own. What you've longed for and worked for, I present to you freely as pure gift. You feel awed by the ease with which I operate in the world, and you glimpse my power and my glory. Vallarie, do not fear your weaknesses, for it's the stage on which my power and glory perform most brilliantly. As you persevere along the path I prepared for you, dependent on my strength to sustain you, expect to see miracles, and you will. Miracles are not always visible to the naked eye, but those who live by faith can see them clearly. Living by faith rather than sight enables you to see my glory. And as your husband of 40 years, I want to thank you for allowing me to witness how you've excellently personified what it means to be a servant. I thank you for the hours I've witnessed you in your chair, studying your council business, falling asleep, because I've witnessed you being devoted to something bigger than yourself. God bless you, and I love you, and your seat, your mindset can never be filled. Love you.
Love you too.
Very well spoken. Is there any other member of the audience that would like to speak at this time? Okay, we are closing call to the public. Item 6 is unfinished business for discussion, approval, disapproval of adopting the November 5th and November 19th Town Council minutes. Is there anybody that has any questions regarding those items? With that, we need a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as read or as presented.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item number 7 is our swearing in of our new council members.
I state your name.
Judy Hughes.
Michelle Cordes.
John Anderson,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and all ordinances of the Town of Florence,
and all ordinances of the town,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of council member
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of council
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right. At this time, we need a roll call, please.
Mayor Walter,
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Wall,
Here.
Councilmember Larsen,
Here.
Councilmember Cortez, Councilmember Hughes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 9 is our public hearings and presentations. Item A is a public hearing to receive citizens' comments on the land use assumptions and the infrastructure improvement plan. Ms. Lisa Garcia.
Mayor and members of council, this is actually the third time that this item is coming back before you. If you remember, one time we went through an explanation of an IIP and impact fees when we were going through the consultant process in selecting a consultant. The next time was to hold a community meeting and a stakeholders meeting and have the consultant here to explain the report. Today what we're here to do is we're here to receive public comment and hold our public hearing. We went over the steps that it takes to adopt the policy, and it basically is taking us the full fiscal year to be able to adopt this policy. Once we have it in a format that it can come to council, it does require a number of public hearings followed by adoption. Then we'll get into the fee portions that will have stakeholder meetings. We'll have a work session, and then what we'll do is we will hold another public hearing, and then of course at the end there is a 70-day requirement to be able to have those fees posted in a place before we collect any type of increase. And we are going forward on our current schedule with having our fees increasing if council selects to through adoption of an ordinance by July 1. And so that would be the day that the fees would go up if council did act on it. At this time, we're just here to open a public hearing, receive public comment, and close the public hearing.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this agenda item at this time? And we are closing public hearing. Thank you. Item B is a public hearing on an application received from Teresa June Morse, Lydia's Cocina at Old Pueblo, liquor license application located at 505 South Main Street, Florence, Arizona, for a Series 12 restaurant license, and for council recommendation for approval or disapproval of the said license. Ms. Garcia.
Town of Florence received an application, and at that time we posted the notice of the location of Old Pueblo, the former Old Pueblo, which is now called, hold on, I can't find it. Oh, Lydia's Cocina at Old Pueblo. And so we have posted the notice for the required 20 days, and we are here tonight to receive public input. In the 20 days posting, no one has provided any comments to the staff, either in favor of or against. Staff is here tonight to ask council to make a recommendation for approval to the Arizona State Board of Liquor License and Control. We would ask that you open the public hearing, see if there's any public comment, and at that time, vote on making a recommendation.
Okay, at this time we are opening our public hearing. Does anybody have anything that they would like to say? And closing our public hearing. And at this time, I need a motion.
Make a motion that we forward a recommendation for approval of the liquor license for Lydia's Cocina at Old Pueblo.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Item C, would you read it from the floor, Miss Lisa, and I'll be right down?
Presentation of a Community Appreciation Award to Vallarie Woolridge for 14 years of service. It will be presented by Mayor Terrell Walter.
Vallarie, 14 years This lady right here has served our citizens' cause. She has given up a lot of time and a lot to her community, our community. She's taught me a lot along the way as well. You've taught me patience and understanding. So, oh, thank you. On the record, she wants this. Okay. So I would like to present Miss Vallarie Woolridge with this amazing, beautiful award in grateful appreciation for 14 years of service. She's served her community very selflessly, and she's taught many of us valuable life lessons along the way. So I want to sincerely say thank you. I know this is not the last we're going to see of each other, and I appreciate everything that you've done and want to give you an opportunity to say a few words as well.
Thank you. First of all, I have to thank God for giving me this opportunity that I've had to serve my community for 14 years. And a big thank you to my husband, who sacrificed a lot of hours and days away from me as I helped to tend to the town's business. So a big thank you to him. And then, of course, to all the voters and everybody in the community that continue to have trust and faith in me that I could handle the town's business. I appreciate that so much, all the support that I've received. And it's just been a blessing. And I don't know what God has planned for me next, but I'm sure there's a plan. So thanks to all my former council members. I think we performed admirably. We handled the town's business in a professional manner, so things have changed. And of course, to the wonderful staff who has been a pleasure to work with, and I'm always bragging on them because we have the most professional staff in the state of Arizona. So it's been a blessing working with them. And to all of you, I just appreciate everything that we have accomplished together, and I'm not going to get emotional. I appreciate Tara as well. We've helped each other out. It's been a blessing working with her as her vice mayor. So thank you very much.
Item D, presentation of Community Appreciation Award to Rebecca Guilin for 4 years of service, presented by Mayor Tara Walter.
So, Ms. Rebecca Guilin, I have really enjoyed working with, I'm going to call you Becky if that's okay. Okay, so Becky has worked for the Town of Florence for, it was over 20 years, right?
19 years. And then I had a little lull and then came on the town council for almost 4 years, and now I'm back. Working in the finance department, it's like coming home again. It's awesome. I'm really enjoying my time this time because I'm not under a whole lot of stress to be the person in charge, and it really is a lot of fun.
So Becky has amazing wealth experience. Oh my goodness, the things that you've taught us about finances and budgets and different pots. So valuable employee as well as council member who has listened to the people, brought forward concerns about budgets, helped steer us in the right direction when we wanted to maybe make some other choices, but you're like, wait, look at our money, look at our budget, and let's plan accordingly. So again, everybody is here for a reason, and Becky has definitely helped us by way of finances and being fiscally responsible. So I'm going to give you a few moments to talk.
Like I said, it's been a joy working for the Town of Florence, mostly because of the people that work here. And working on town council, I could not have asked for a better set of council members and mayors. It's just been a wonderful experience, and it just kind of rounds me out at this time in my life. And coming back now, it's just a joy. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much.
All right, nothing like a unplanned fire evacuation. Sorry about that. Okay. Item E is an update on the Florence Hospital from Jacob Golich, who is the president of Mountain Vista Medical Center. Mr. Billingsley.
Madam Mayor, members of council, it's with great pleasure that I bring two friends of mine to the podium this evening to give you a brief presentation. We have been receiving, I was explaining to Jake earlier, we've been receiving a multitude of phone calls every week for the last couple months regarding rumors that have been afoot with respect to the future of the Anthem Hospital. And I'm happy to report that we've been having meetings during that period of time with two very wonderful gentlemen that are going to improve the facility, improve the services to our community, and assist us in providing the safety, health, welfare to our community. And with that, I present Jake, and Dr. Smith is with us as well this evening.
I think that's like every high schooler's dream, is to have a fire alarm go off right before you're about to present. I did not plan it, I promise. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for having me. On behalf of Dr. Gary Smith and myself, we are privileged and honored to be here, and very excited to become a member of the Florence community. With that, you'll see up here on the screen a nice little new logo of the Florence Hospital, a campus of Mountain Vista Medical Center, and we are a Steward Family Hospital. As we a little bit hard to see here, but you can see that I wanted to talk a little bit about Steward and who we are as an organization, and then of course Mountain Vista and Florence as well. 36 hospitals across the United States of America here, all the way from Boston down through Southwest here in Arizona. Last September, Steward purchased IASIS Healthcare. At the time, Steward was 18 hospitals, and with IASIS 18 hospitals, became the largest for-profit, privately owned organization, healthcare organization in the nation. So you can see the 36 locations up there and on the screen. Definitely gave our hospitals, in which you see in the Western region, a lot more leverage, a lot more opportunities that we didn't have in the past. Steward is physician ran and led. The top leadership are all former physicians and some still practicing. So a very strong focus towards physician growth, physician partnership, and we're very excited with the direction and the strategic plans that have been put in place. Currently, Mountain Vista is partnered with just over almost 500 physicians at Mountain Vista, St. Luke's, Tempe, St. Luke's, with 500 physicians in the valley here in just the past 6 months, and continue to grow as we expand our footprint with Florence. A little bit about Mountain Vista, and I will not go through every one of these bullet points, but we are a level 3 trauma center, we're a chest pain accredited center, we're a stroke center, and of course we're a community hospital. We're not going to be everything to everyone. We don't provide the highest level in tertiary care. We do have great partnerships with other facilities that do that, and our goal is to provide that same type of care out here as well. We do have a residency program with 51 physicians that are being trained in surgery, internal medicine, family medicine, and a GI gastroenterology fellowship. So we've had our first graduating class of our surgery residents, and we're actually looking at being able to bring some of those out to Florence as well. And of course, I thought this was important because this is something that we're going to bring over to the Florence Hospital as well. But our mission is we are highly motivated and compassionate people using advanced systems and technology to become the healthcare provider of choice and to improve the quality of life for the individuals and communities we serve. And of course, that fits perfectly with what we're doing in the Florence Hospital. And of course, breaking that down and not so technical words, we want to provide great care to everyone that steps through our doors, family members, visitors, anybody that truly is there. It's not just the patient, but sometimes you got to take care of those family members and the community as well. We are very proud of our quality. I mentioned a few of those already. In 2018, actually the last 4 or 5 years, we've received the AHA Get With The Guidelines Stroke Gold Plus Quality Achievement Award recipient, and for the stroke honor roll. And really that's quality metrics. It's true hard data that shows how great we're doing with stroke patients that are coming through the door, and ensuring that we're getting them where they need to be, whether that's into surgery or to another facility as quickly as possible, saving a lot of precious time. Some quick little numbers there, but to the most important part of the presentation and really what we're doing with the Florence Hospital. So as you guys know, it's a 36-bed facility. 16 of those beds are locked down in a secured unit for prisoners. There are 22 emergency beds. There is a surgical suite that offers all of the diagnostic imaging and all of lab services. You can kind of see on the map there where it is in location to Mountain Vista, 28.6 miles, just about a 40-minute drive. If you drive like Dr. Smith and I, you can make it in about 35 minutes. But really, we've had a great partnership from Mountain Vista's standpoint with Florence, and there is an agenda item later this evening that will further that partnership as we continue. But we have been a base station with Florence Fire for a number of years, and hopefully we will continue to do that as we move forward. So overall, this partnership, it made sense. Mountain Vista is truly a standalone facility, and if you've been there, you've seen that we are surrounded by nearly every banner facility and every type of specialty facility that they have. We do have a few Dignity hospitals that are just within our location as well, but we've never had that additional footprint, and that's what Florence brings to the table for us. So we are excited to have that. A little bit about and I'm not going to talk about the population. You guys know all of that stuff. But we, from a strategy standpoint, there's not a cath lab at Florence. There's some of the higher level surgeries that can't be done there, and that's where Mountain Vista will come into play. Our goal is to be able to transfer those patients, whether it's through the helicopter or ambulance to the facility, in the event that higher level is needed. Hopefully recover them as best we can, and then have the opportunity for them to recover at the hospital or being discharged back to the Florence community. Really kind of how this came in, so the ownership of both the Florence and Gilbert hospitals actually owns the Mountain Vista property and facility as well. So it made sense from their end to be able to loop that in underneath that agreement and license. So Medical Properties Trust, we started talking with them last April, and the goal was to take the management over for both of the Gilbert and Florence facilities. Unfortunately, as you guys know, that did not happen. And where we currently stand, because the doors closed and the facility officially went dark for 30 days, there's not a license in place. So as of last Friday, the license application has been submitted to the state of Arizona, which kind of starts the timeline for everything else and really getting the facility up and running. That's a 45 to 60-day process for them to get their paperwork in order, if there's anything else they may need from their end, and get that timeline to us. So I know the question's going to come is what the target date is. Our goal is sometime in January. It's an aggressive approach, but that's kind of what we've been targeting from the start. If there is anything that's kind of out of our control, we understand that too, and we are going to be focused on getting that as done efficiently as possible. A couple important dates. Next December 12th and 13th, there will be a job fair at the facility. We have sent out postcards to all the former employees and already have a number of meetings and interviews set up with our directors and managers. Our leadership will oversee both of the facilities. Our directors and managers that we have at Mountain Vista will also oversee their respective areas. In July, we did hire on 5 of the Florence and Gilbert employees that were previously in leadership positions there. So it's exciting to have them. It's something that to have them on our team kind of gets us an extra a few steps ahead of the game. But they will, of course, be participating in the job fair and will be on site as soon as the doors open. I think that's really about it at this point. We've been working with the town. Brent's been great, getting us in contact with the right team members. Of course, we've worked with Chief Strayer for many years, and he's been involved in a lot of discussions we had. And like I said, it's very exciting. It's something that we've talked about for a long time. So to see it come to fruition is it's exciting. It's stressful, but overall, it's going to be great for the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. While you're up here, I know one of the questions prior in the community with the hospital. Tell to us a little bit about like your insurances and what you accept, so this way our residents have that information.
Absolutely. I know that was an issue in the past. So We take all insurances, and that will roll under the Florence Hospital as well. Of course, there's some, the Banner insurances that they much rather would have their patients at their facilities. But overall, we will have the full gamut of insurances and be able to provide that. And in the event that there are any questions, we'll be able to work with our business office and our financial teams on that as well.
Well, thank you for that clarification. I know that's always one of those questions that comes out in a community, and we're really glad that you are here this evening as well as coming into the community to provide, this valuable service to our residents and visitors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
What was the date of the job fairs again?
I'm sorry.
What was the date of the job
The
fair?
12th and 13th.
12th and 13th.
And that's going to be at the hospital. I believe it's in the main lobbies, and those that are coming in will be able to apply right there on site.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much. Our next item is a presentation with the United Way, the Town of Florence, regarding participation in local drives by Manuela Bowler, as well as we have some Elks Lodge recipients. Come on up at this time. Come on over here. I'm going to push this over here. So I saw our fire department, thank you, Chief Strayer. They were loading all of the boxes into the back of their vehicle. So on October 27th, we had Make a Difference Day, and Manny and I, Manny's with the United Way, we started talking, and Manny had shared that she had obtained a grant. She had some funding, and she wanted to come and partner with the community. So originally, we said we'll make 5,000 meals, and we'll split 2,500 with the Town of Florence and 2,500 with the surrounding areas. I said, great. Somehow I did misconstrue that, and I said 5,000 was staying here. Lo and behold, that day came. Manny loaded up her car. A big pallet came. And lots of extra volunteers showed up. We made 10,000 meals in about 2 hours. So 5,000 is staying local, 5,000 is going to the surrounding communities. Then, I'm going to let Manny talk a little bit more about what she does in the community. We have a segue into our Elks with our Feeding Empty Little Tummies. Manny, will you tell us a little bit about the United Way in the community and our partnership?
Sure. I actually have some notes because I get nervous when I have to talk in the microphone. The United Way has been in Pinal County for 38 years, and I've been the executive director for the United Way for going on almost 4 years now. And we've changed the trajectory from where it used to be to where it is going now, and this is a product of that. But before I get into a little bit more, I'd like to let you know that Lisa Garcia is actually one of our board members. So she represents the Town of Florence and surrounding area on our board. So if you ever have needs in the community that you would like to address, she would be your contact. And I think you know where to find her. One of the initiatives that the United Way has is reading by third grade. You may know that 30% of the kids don't read at capacity or capability at third grade. It's interesting that 30% don't graduate from high school, and about 30% of our population needs continued social assistance. I don't know if it's the same 30%, but it's an interesting statistic. And you know that Pinal County has an educational progress monitor, and the goal is to have 72% of our third graders attain proficient reading levels by 2030. Currently, we're at like 42%. So reading by third grade is a huge economic indicator for our future. So the United Way is partnering with lots of different community members. We've got the Rotary Club that we partner with, the Florence Women's Club, different organizations to address this. We focus on family financial stability, and this is a family financial stability piece. You can't read and do well in school if you're hungry. Weekends are no exception. Then the other thing is that we work on literacy kits together and the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So yeah, the lovely thing on the whole Giving Day thing is that I loaded up my Tahoe with this extra pallet of food, not knowing that this other pallet had arrived. Don't you know, I felt really silly when they came, and I had already unloaded that second pallet, and they're like, there's already one here. And it was the divine intervention, because as it turns out, you may all have known about the Coolidge Food Bank being robbed recently. And all the food donations went to that food bank, which left the Superior Food Bank short. So these meals, we gave them extra of these meals to put into their food baskets. So in the end, it's amazing how everything ties together, right? And when we were at the event, someone said, oh, you need to talk to the Elks Club. And so we're going to give you food to put into your bags to feed little empty bellies.
That's wonderful.
Your turn.
Well, I don't know if I can top much of that, but I'm going to give you a little background on what our program is and what it's called. It's called EFELT, Elks Feeding Empty Little Tummies. So about 4 years ago, Sandy, this is my wife Sandy, by the way, Sandy and I was at the Elks National Convention, and she's paying attention to what's going on, and I'm half nodding off. Anyway, she pokes me in the side and says, we need to do that. And she's looking up at the big screen. And I go, doing what? She says, we need to do this EFELT program. So, needless to say, we're doing the EFELT program. Now, what that stands for, I think I just said this, Elks Feeding Empty Little Tummies. What we do is we feed food-deprived children within our community. Most of the ones we serve right now are under the
McKinney-Vento?
Thank you, program. And that's a very closely watched and guarded program. We don't get to see the kids, we don't know who they are, and so they're not picked on or are pointed out by the other kids in the school district and things. And we like that because that way there's no animosity and things amongst anybody. So anyway, that 4 years ago, we came back, we presented it to our lodge. They thought it was a great idea. And so we needed to raise money. And we did that within our lodge with donations. And then the word got out. We attended a few Chamber of Commerce meetings, a Rotary meeting. And the next thing you know, we've got donations coming in from your community. Every time it helped greatly. In fact, our very first big check we got was from the Eloy prison system, which kind of blew us away. But that was for like $1,300, and that bought quite a bit. And then the little food bank here in Florence, they had some extra stuff, and they donated it to us, including 2,500 granola bars. That lasted a long time, by the way. So anyway, I just kept growing. We've even had donations from assembly members, and that was just kind of amazing to us. It was extra funds she had left over, so she donated that to our program. Hope I didn't get you in trouble there. Anyway, I know. And so anyway, we've done real well with this program. And like I said, this started 4 years ago. And I wanted to give you an example of what we've done. This was last year's figures. Last year, we donated or put together 30,289 food items. That was 7,659 meals weighing over 11,000 pounds. And all of those went to kids on the weekends. That's the other thing. We only feed weekends. When the schools aren't in session, the kids don't have any meals. These kids go hungry, and they look forward to coming to school on Monday so they can get something to eat. I mean, Arizona is leading, well, I think maybe second in the nation for hungry children.
1 in 4 kids.
I'm sorry?
It's 1 in 4 kids.
1 in 4 children are food deprived, and that's just unacceptable. So anyway, we're real excited about this program. We're real excited about this donation. It's going to go a long ways to help us. It's going to allow us to do some things we haven't been doing, and that's taking care of kids and families through the summers and through the holidays. The other thing, I want to point out a little bit about the Elks. I got to put an Elks plug in here, so bear with me. The Elks nationally, $4.79 million in scholarships to children. That's the largest single non-government, non-profit donation in the United States. $2.06 million to veterans. 709, this is just last year alone. I mean, we do this every year. $709,000 to drug awareness, and $12.37 million in community investments, which is what our program falls underneath. That's what the Elks does. That's who we are. We're not just a building downtown or down on Attaway with a bar and a bunch of old guys sitting around drinking. We do a lot of good things for our community. And to be an Elk, you'll be 21, American citizen, and believe in God, and we have extra applications with us tonight. With that, I thank you very much, and thank you both.
All right, so this is for you, as well as this box, and I saw our firefighters earlier loading up your truck. So you have how many boxes?
There's 23 altogether.
So 23 boxes. She has some more that's coming as well. 5,000 meals. Sorry. I like to overpromise. I just like keep doubling things. So lots of our council members participated on this, and at the time they were elected, but come on down, let's take a picture, because we believe in community partnerships coming together. These are two amazing organizations within our communities, so we want to keep these partnerships going, and I know you're coming out in January to give more of an in-depth presentation, so thank you. Now, while they're making their way down, this is amazing. Okay, so it has soy flour in it. Let me see if I can remember it all. Soy flour, macaroni, a tomato-based paste, and some dried veggies, and beans and seasoning. It is minestrone soup. Come on over, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, let's push together.
I didn't have it on the first.
Ready?
You got most of the way. Give me some.
All right, ready?
All right, 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Yes. Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right.
She's carrying the load once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Danny.
We really appreciate it. I'm going to talk to our
All right. Our next item is our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a council member or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Item A is approval to enter into a broadband service agreement for 5 years with Fiber Communications, LLC, doing business as Airbeam. Item B is approval of the emergency base station agreement between the Florence Fire Department and Mountain Vista Medical Center. Item C is authorization to dispose of the following town vehicles: a 1998 Ford Crown Vic Police Interceptor, a 2006 Dodge Charger, 2002 Ford Explorer, a 2003 Yamaha 450 YSF dirt bike. Item D is approval of accepting the Register of Demands ending October 31st, 2018 in the amount of $2,648,070.63. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your consent agenda. Are there any items either council or public would like removed at this time? With that, we need a motion.
I make a motion we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Our new business, item 11. Item A is our discussion, approval, disapproval of appointing a member of council to serve as vice mayor. Ms. Lisa Garcia.
Pursuant to Section 30.05 of the Town Code, it states that at the same meeting at which council is seated, the council shall designate one of its members as the vice mayor, who shall serve at the pleasure of the council. The vice mayor shall perform the duties of the mayor during the absence of the mayor. And that is the entire vice mayor section of the Town Code. What we'll do is we will open the floor for nominations. At that time, people will suggest who they'd like to be the vice mayor. We will then turn to the person who has been nominated and ask if they would be willing to perform the service of the vice mayor. If that person says yes, then we will have a nominee. We will also ask for if there are additional nominations that need to be made. If so, we'll continue with the same number of nominations that we get. And then we'll go and we'll vote in that particular order as well. So if that is understood, you can open the floor for nominations.
All right. At this time, I am going to open up the floor for nominations of vice mayor.
I'll nominate John Anderson.
John, would you accept the nomination of vice mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a nomination on the floor. Is there any other nominations? If there are no other nominations, we will close nominations and we will take a vote. Mayor, would you like to call the vote, please, since we require a roll call vote without?
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Okay. We will have a roll call vote. Councilmember Hawkins.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Wall.
Aye.
Councilmember Larsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cortez.
Aye.
Councilmember Hughes.
Aye.
Mayor Walter.
Aye.
Congratulations, Vice Mayor Anderson.
And I'd like to thank the council. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, item 11B is the liaison appointments. Before I go through and list them, I want to just make everybody aware, I sent out all of the information to all of our members to get some feedback in regards to what committees, what boards they would like to participate on. While I couldn't facilitate all of the requests, I did my very best. I also looked at different opportunities that connected personalities and in areas that I thought that you would really enjoy and be successful in the community. That being said, if anybody does have an appointment that they're just like, this isn't going to work out, we can talk and redo anything, okay? But here we go. Arts and Culture, Mr. Councilmember Hawkins. Our Board of Appeal, Councilmember Hughes. Our Historic District Advisory Commission, Councilmember Cortez. IDA, Vice Mayor Anderson. Library Advisory Board, Councilmember Wall. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Councilmember Hughes. Planning and Zoning Commission, Councilmember Hawkins. Public Safety Retirement, Police and Fire, Councilmember Larsen. Teen Youth Commission, Councilmember Larsen. And that also encompasses the Florence Teen Council, But that being said, you don't need to attend the Tuesday, Thursday each week. It's just reaching out, getting that relationship with Coco and bringing that information back. Our Youth Advisory Commission isn't totally up and running yet. As far as I know, we have about 2 or 3 applications. If you're a high school student, you want to participate, please fill out those applications. We really want your input into the community. And you're going to work more on that. Our regional liaison assignments, Central Arizona Association of Governments, Mayor Walter. Florence Unified School District, Councilmember Cortez. Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce, Councilmember Wall. Maricopa Association of Governments, Mayor Walter. Pinal Mayor's Monthly Meeting, Mayor Walter. Tohono O'odham Village and Gila River Indian Communities, Councilmember Wall. Pinal Water Augmentation Authority, Councilmember Anderson. Pinal Partnership, Councilmember Anderson, and we also have other members that are free to attend. State liaison assignments that I attend are Arizona Legislature, League of Cities and Towns Resolution Committee, Regional Transportation Authority that ties in with CAG, and nationally is the National League of Cities and Towns. That is our boards, commissions, and committees. Oh, thank you so much, because I wrote that one in right here. 5 parks, HOAs, Councilmember Hawkins. I popped you on that one. All right, is everybody happy? If not, will you talk to me after? All right, I think everybody's happy. Okay, those are our boards and commissions. Item 11C is Mr. Trenton Schaefer for Melander.
Mayor, council members, it's a pleasure to be in front of you tonight and talk about Melander, the smart city infrastructure for the town of Florence. I do have my good friend Ed Levin from Melander here. He's the general manager. One of the things that we consider when we're trying to be a smart city is, economic prosperity. A lot of people think that's bringing in jobs, which it is. Something else that you might want to consider when thinking about economic prosperity is technology, and how does that come into play, right? So defining a smart city is kind of broad in scope, and it requires you to forecast development of new technologies that might be coming in. So you got to consider internet communications technologies that are adaptable or reliable to play into that. So one of those technologies that you'll see when you're thinking about that, on how can we use technology to benefit our town, to make it economically viable to build up our infrastructure, bring people in here, create jobs, is looking at those technologies. So one of them is the Internet of Things. What the heck is the Internet of Things? It's the most vague title I think I've ever seen in technology in my entire life. So the Internet of Things, it's basically anything that connects to the internet. So a lot of people think, well, how does that play into the town? How does that play into municipalities? Internet of Thing, that sounds like something you'd have in your house, like a smart thermostat. Well, that plays in the buildings in our town infrastructure. We have smart thermostats that control our infrastructure. We can control our temperatures more effectively, therefore save cost, right? So that's one example of an Internet of Thing device. Your cell phone's an Internet of Thing device. So on and so forth. Smart water meters, Internet of Thing devices. What do all those things have in common? They all use data. They all have to transmit data through our networks. So how do we maintain that? How do we analyze that? What do we use that for? What is it any good for? So you start thinking about these Internet of Thing devices. How can they help our town? What can we do? Well, we can do smart water meters. Smart water meters, we don't have to go out and do manual reads. We can actually have them phone home and give us daily reads, hourly reads, weekly reads, so on and so forth. You get other things like leak detection, flow rates. A lot of different information in there that's very useful to municipality. Especially with leak detection. You could be leaking out 50,000 gallons a day somewhere and not know until somebody reports a giant water puddle or something running down the street, right? So you can look at other things too. Wastewater. What are our flows through there? How much chlorine's being injected into our systems? You can look at public safety, cameras, security cameras, systems like that, smart lights, parking meters, your electric car charging stations. Anything that you can possibly think of that could benefit a town can be tied into the Internet of Things. On top of that, you're going to save a lot of time in staff, man hours, a lot of things that required manual intervention. Think about that from the perspective of the water meters I just talked about. Manually going out and reading a water meter, pulling off a cover, reading a water meter, so on and so forth. When you can instantly get reads, just like that, in the snap of your fingers, all those devices reporting back. So before I go on too much more about that, Ed's going to put together a nice presentation for you. He's going to do a lot better job of explaining those devices to you, but something you want to consider, what I said before, is the amount of data. Think about processing that. Sure, you can go buy a pre-made solution, something that you, oh yeah, these guys do water meters, they have a proprietary system, it does everything you need to go, here you go. Oh, these guys have a SCADA system for sewer. It monitors your whole sewer system. Here you go, ready to go, bundled up, nice and easy. Here's guys that do security cameras over here. Just buy their bundled up solution, there you go. All those are little silos, individual, not connected to each other. Not as useful as if they were actually all interconnected, right? If you could have a single dashboard that could tell you got a water leak here, you got a robbery in progress over here, looks like you got a fire in one of your town buildings over here. These lights are using exponentially amount of power and nobody's in the room over here. If you had a single pane of glass reporting all that, giving you all that data, it'd be much more beneficial, right? So then you got to think about, all right, we have all that data, we have all these different panels, what else aren't we considering? Analytics, data processing, cloud computing, internet bandwidth. There's a lot of other things to consider when you build those kind of infrastructure. So that's called internet communications technology infrastructure. An entire smart city is built on that platform. You can't even start to think about smart water meters, smart thermostats, your SCADA systems, security cameras all over, town Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi everywhere, wherever you go, without having that backbone of an infrastructure. It's the heart of everything, right? So that's where deals like AirBeam come into play. They'll come in and lay fiber for us and create a big fiber ring that we can connect into for high bandwidth, high data needing devices like a camera. You put up 100 cameras around town, that's a lot of data streaming live. Put 1,000 cameras, got to have some scalability, right? Smaller sensors like smoke detectors, things like that, have really tiny batteries, don't use much power at all. 10, 20-year service life on those things. Put them up and forget about them. So they send small little data packets, but they do that wirelessly. So again, you have to have that infrastructure for those devices to be able to connect to. So in comes Melander. Melander is a very innovative company. They figured out a way to get those devices to phone home, analyze that data, put in a network system that'll do the analytics behind it, provide the trending information, send out email alerts, notifications, so on and so forth. It's an all-in-one package. You don't have silo A, silo B, silo C. This company goes out of business. What do we do now? They use open technology, open platforms, low power WAN technology, which has a very long service life. It's kind of a no-brainer. But before we can start bringing on all those cool modules, like I said, we got to build those gateways. We got to build that network infrastructure. And with that being said, I'll let Ed Levin talk about Melander and how they're going to do that for us. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this nice introduction, Trenton. Madam Mayor, Council, Melander is an international company. We are about 800 strong. We are headquartered in Denver, Colorado, with offices in Russia, China, and some other countries. We did not design technology. We did not invent it. We implement it. Right now, in the United States, systems like we propose to install in the Town of Florence, they are being installed at a rate, I don't know, maybe several systems each new week, but they're all concentrating in the large cities, of course. Our model is we improved and changed technology, so it is very suitable and it's scalable down to small towns. Our technology called long distance wide area networks. We propose to build the system in town at no cost to the town. We're going to pick up all the costs. The system is going to blanket cover the town. Let me just go to a different slide. Yeah, I figured it out. The network itself, the system itself, the backbone for the smart city will consist of a so-called gateways that are going to be located on a town water tank and radio towers, I believe. The system will support just about all the smart city technologies that are available today. The system is perfectly suitable to support smart water metering system, electrical system, any sort of residential applications. As Trenton mentioned, we can bring in a very small devices, sizes maybe 1 by 1 inch, and just drop it anywhere, drop it in a facility that you never visit, and it's going to function there and it's going to perform its function. Let's say it's a on-off switch that you locate on a door. If somebody goes into a town facility, which is not normally monitored, it will alert the town dispatcher, and it's going to continue doing it for 10, sometimes more, sometimes even more than 10 years. The system is perfectly suitable for any number of agricultural applications, such as, well, you name it. We can take a weather station and drop it in the middle of nowhere, and it doesn't require electricity or internet or anything else. It's just going to function for many years, providing you with necessary data. There are any number of public safety applications that can be utilized using this network. For instance, I don't know if you heard it, but there's new technology called gunshot sensors. Those can be installed anywhere in any school, in any public building, anywhere in an incarceration facility. And it actually reports, without mistakes, gunshot minutes before anybody can get to the telephone and make a phone call, alert the authorities. One of the very important features of our network that is vendor agnostic. It does not depend, once the system is installed, anybody can come to the town with any type of end user devices and sell it or provide town with them, and the network will accommodate them. So that is, I believe it's a very important feature of our network. This is a network structure. We're going to provide a network management for the town of Florence. We're going to maintain it. We're going to repair it at no cost to the town. The network is easily expandable. In its first version, it's going to cover town proper and then some. It can be expanded as far as town needs it to be expanded. The technology also supports geolocation, and so it's very perfectly suitable for asset tracking, and it also supports roaming. So if there are system comes up, it's already being built, but if system being built in the town of Florence, somebody using our services here in the town of Florence can use them in the city of Phoenix. Those are the key features of a network management software. It's very intelligent, it's very scalable, it's customized. We're going to provide a town of Florence with any number of dashboards that are suitable for each particular technology and device. If it is a leakage detector, we'll provide a town with dashboard and also with a customer portal, so customer can instantly be alerted if there is a water leakage in his home facility. Another very important, very interesting feature of our network is, well, it's automatic software upgrade. We never have to come here again and go up in towers and take down the gateways. Management dashboards. We're going to provide dashboards in working together with the town officials. We're going to provide Town of Florence with the dashboards that are suitable for any number of applications that you would like to have. Software, network. Okay, and this is a list of devices and technologies that are currently supported by the long-range wide area networks. It's a water meters, gas meters, electricity, smart lights, trash bin detectors, you name it. Just about any technology today that goes under the umbrella of smart city, we can accommodate. And again, it's a vendor agnostic, so we can just take any device and put on our network. And the last is a little piece of statistics. This technology right now supports close to 70% of all devices that can be served by the cloud software. So I believe it's a giant step toward the future and toward being a true smart city. And this concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question, I think, for Trenton, possibly Brent. It seems as though we're starting this project concentrated in the central part of Florence. And I'm wondering what plans or consideration is being given to the other geographical areas in Florence, such as Anthem and the 5 parks.
Sure, Councilmember Wall. I'll allow Brent Billingsley to give you a better answer than I probably could on that.
I'm going to kind of answer it as part of a sum up on the information that you've heard, because I know those two gentlemen were very technical, and we have a couple of new council members that haven't been introduced to Melander because we've been working with them for quite some time now. So to answer your question, we were first introduced to Melander from Innovation Pavilion about 9 months ago. And we've been working with Ed and some of his folks, he says, for about a year. But I know we were discussing it last year during the budget and some of the ideas regarding smart cities and being able to move forward. I gave him a very simple challenge at that time. I said, the other cities that are incorporating smart city technologies, in my opinion, are not smart, because they go out with individual vendors who own the technology, the upgrades, et cetera, in a very closed technological sense, and I think that that's not smart. So the challenge I gave to Ed was, we need to have an open architecture where our water meters can talk to the pressure sensors, can talk to the SCADA systems, can talk to smart trash cans, can talk to, as you saw before, temperature and humidity sensors throughout the community. So it's comprehensive, and that data can then be multiplied and used to analyze more detailed things. The best example I can provide is we may have temperature and humidity sensors all around town, and they get a hit showing there's a fire. Not only would the fire department know that there's a fire in this particular sector, but perhaps it can go to our SCADA systems, check our tank levels, turn on our well pumps, and turn on our fire pumps so that we can better fight that fire in that location. That's how the technology could work. We entered a letter of agreement with Melander about 5 months ago, essentially for research and development. A no-cost agreement to work with Melander to see if this was feasible, to determine what technology could be used, and to enable them to go back and work on how the dashboard and the interface might occur. Specifically to your question, Ms. Wall, we've done a considerable amount of study based on the different locations, and one of the locations where we would put a radio is on our tower that we own in Anthem. So we will have coverage over the majority of the town, including this part of town, areas south of the CAP, Anthem, Florence Gardens, and and obviously the Five Parks area, but not going up further north towards Magma Ranch and those areas. Those wouldn't be covered, but our existing populated areas would be covered. The reason that you see so much information about the town core is because the first function of this is actually smart metering. And of course, smart metering relates to our water and sewer provision, which we don't provide in Anthem, but that doesn't mean we can't incorporate smart cities technologies with respect to this. The other things that I would mention is there is a whole litany of sensors available that can communicate in this open architecture, as well as, if you approve this tonight, not only will the LoRaWAN be installed on city property, this is a partnership, but also we'll begin testing sensors probably within the next month. And the water meter bid for our smart meter systems is actually on the street at this time. So it all kind of comes together. But the nexus in this first stage is specifically smart water meters.
If I may add to it, propagation studies that we performed showed that all of town proper will be covered. So everywhere where the town folks live, we will cover it with the first rollout of the system.
I guess what I was wondering is whether or not any discussions have been held with EPCOR or with Pulte or Horton or any of the other areas that have water meters or any other infrastructure that might benefit from this platform.
No, ma'am, we have not. You're welcome. Any other questions?
I have a question. I guess this is primarily for Brent, but if we charge $2 a meter and we've got 4,000 to 5,000 meters downtown, how do we pay for that?
We currently have staffing that goes out and manually reads water meters. Will be considerably cheaper than the manual systems that we utilize today and the folks that we utilize to do that.
So you're going to cut those people out of the budget?
Correct. Okay. In the future, yes. Or reassign them elsewhere, yes.
Thank you.
I prefer the latter of the two. I think everybody does.
Well,
keep in mind that the gentleman that does that, he's ready to try other challenges.
Well, you have to think about it. Do we have the overall budget? We don't have the overall budget to keep the people and pay additional charges. So we may have to lay people off, or as people terminate, use them as backfill. See what I'm saying?
Attrition is what you're saying.
Attrition, yeah.
Okay.
And something, if I may add, Mayor Walter, is the cost to build a gateway infrastructure like this is definitely not small pennies. It's not an extremely large amount of money. Melander is doing that free of charge to bring in those gateway devices in the realm of somewhere $5,000 to $10,000 per device per gateway, somewhere in there, so pretty very close. So not only that, they're saving us the cost in the infrastructure as well. Plus, they're putting up all the R&D and making sure all this works great for our future growth and future use. Another benefit of the technology is it uses, well, we've used radio technology forever, right? I mean, how long has the radio existed? And all that's happening is they just changing the way it works. Wi-Fi for your cell phone, AM, FM for your car radio, microwave radio dishes that shoot signals hundreds of miles. It's still all the same technology. So these small, low-powered devices just use radio frequency, somewhere in 900 megahertz frequency right around in there to transmit. So it's really future-proofed. It's not like we can enter in this agreement 10 years from now. We got these gateways collecting dust up on our tower. They can be retrofitted, changed out, radios, modules changed. And that's the beautiful part of it, is it's how modular the system really is, right? So.
The key here is to be first, to develop a technology of a true smart city and be first. And hopefully at the same time in our capitalist economy, hopefully we hope to grow Melander and Melander's presence here in Florence, and hopefully others follow suit all around the country and potentially the world to utilize this technology for smart cities, and it all started in Florence.
one small last piece. I know this is going on pretty long. This can be used as a revenue source as well, right? So we can put these devices in people's homes. So if they need a leak detection underneath their house, we can charge them a small fee, $1 per month for leak detection. We install the device, and it reports and it notifies them. Just one small example. There's hundreds, thousands of different applications you can apply there, but there is a potential to provide services to our citizens through this, and that's really kind of one of the more long-term goals of the project, is not only use it for our water meter infrastructure, SCADA, sewer infrastructure, but to provide services to the citizens through that infrastructure as well.
Do we have it in the plans to speak with EPCOR or Pulte anytime soon?
I'll leave that to Mr. Billingsley.
Excuse me, very last addition, if I may, very last. Once the initial, and to expand on your question, once the initial system is up and installed, the expansion is very easy and inexpensive. If there is an area where you have the customers and there is no coverage, very easy, very inexpensively, it will be expanded.
Mayor, to answer your question, Johnson Utilities and EPCOR already has the infrastructure in place. The infrastructure they have in place is census meters, specifically Census Pearl. That's a proprietary system. It can't communicate with anybody else, nor could we communicate with it. It's exactly what I was talking about before, a smart city initiative that I don't believe is very smart, because once you buy census meters, you can't ever change to anything else, because Census has its own read system, its own profile system, its own GUI, and it can't communicate with anything else. So they wouldn't be interested in talking to us because they can only use Census and we can't communicate with it. They have a proprietary radio signal.
Thank you. All right, if there's no other questions or comments, this agenda item is marked for action, so I would need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we enter in an agreement with into a communication and Internet of Things service agreement with Melander Incorporated.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for coming out this evening. Item number 12 is our manager's report.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I had a letter that I wanted to read into the record tonight. As you recall, we had a gentleman at our last council meeting named Vince Acosta. He was here representing Royal Sign, specifically regarding a Board of Adjustment case for Burger King, if you would recall. And he sent the following letter, and I want to read a couple sections of that letter into the record. I've been meaning to reach out to you once again and say thank you so much for your help and guidance on this whole process from the start. I sincerely appreciate it, and kudos to you, meaning Larry, on the presentation. You killed it. I've done maybe 8 to 10 variances in my 25 years in the business, but I can honestly say none of them were as smooth as yours went. On another note, I received a very nice phone call from a gentleman named Ron Rowley. Of course, we all know Ron. Yesterday from Caliente del Sol RV Resort here in Florence. I spent a good 45 minutes to an hour consulting with him regarding their new monument sign that they want to replace the old double pole pylon sign. I spoke very highly, and he totally agreed. He said that you gave him a lot of great feedback too. They will be reaching out to me on that project in March of next year. So kudos to Community Services Department and specifically Larry and his team.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else from your report that you wanted to highlight?
If I could make this thing work. No, ma'am, I think we've touched on most of those things already.
Okay. On your report, I was just hoping, in moving forward, like for economic prosperity, I know the Silver King rental just came about. We have the RFP for it. But when those things come about, if we could have some advance notice and maybe some dual notification, so that way it's also listed on your manager's report.
Okay.
And then in the upcoming meetings, if you could, I'd really like to, because this is, we've always talked and we've been having a lot of action regarding economic prosperity. If there's a way that we could have a list or an inventory of the buildings that are available on, like in our town for businesses to come about, what conditions they're in. Do the owners want to rent them out? Are they interested in that? Are they not interested in that? Or are they interested in selling perhaps? Just because we have a lot of opportunities coming our way and we don't want to miss out on them.
Perhaps we can ask Jen to come at a future meeting and kind of talk about the inventory and the work that she does.
Perfect. Then I guess it wouldn't segue from the manager's report, but it was a good tie-in to his conversation on economic prosperity in his report. All right, our department reports, number 13. Is there any department head that wants to highlight anything or any council member that has questions? All right. I'm just flipping my page. Sorry, we're all over because we had a dual meeting. So without further ado, we have our second call to the public. At this time, it's open. Is there anybody that would like to talk? Anything? Closing call to the public. Call to the council for current events only. For our newbies, and if you didn't know, I always start out and I work my way backwards. So Councilmember Hughes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I look forward to the next 4 years. I look forward to learning about each and every one of the departments more. I want to thank Lisa Garcia for our new council training. She did a great job, and we do lead the state in what she does, and so I just want to recognize that.
Thank you. Councilmember Cortez.
I just wanted to thank everybody for welcoming us. Everybody's been very kind. I appreciate everyone who took time out to meet with Judy and I and tell us how your department runs and help us try to understand what you do and how to help you make your job easier and run smoother. I, of course, follow up with Judy and definitely thank Lisa for all of her help and guidance and support through this. It's been awesome. She's a great person to work with, and I'm excited to see how I can help impact the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Larsen.
I'd like to first off say, thank goodness I'm not the end of the list. I always hated being called on first, so it's a good note for the night. Second of all, of course, I want to say welcome to you two, and I know that you guys bring a lot of great ideas, and I look forward to what you're going to bring to the council. I know Vallarie and Becky both left, but it's a little bit of a sore spot that they left the council. They both had so much to offer to us and are very smart and well-respected women. I also want to congratulate John on his vice mayor position. And Vallarie had some big shoes to fill. She was always our mother hen, and she always sort of kept us in line and was always our calm person. And I look forward to seeing some of those same qualities coming from you, John. I know that we've had many discussions about how our vision for the town and what things we'd like to see movement on, and I look forward to seeing you in the vice mayor position and seeing you prosper there.
Thank you.
That's all I have for tonight.
Councilmember Wall.
Well, I can say ditto, which I'll miss Vallarie saying that. I had the privilege on Thursday afternoon of participating in the rollout of the 1953 Ford restored fire truck. Many of our staff and John were there. The warden of the state prison was so excited he got to drive the fire truck from the prison where it was restored over to the historical museum. He was like a kid in a candy store. It was so great to see how excited he was. He also presented a check to the museum for over $1,300 in restoration funds that were donated by the inmates in the prison. And he assured us that when the next 2 fire trucks are ready to be restored, that the same kind of response can be expected for those restorations. So I just want to thank him publicly for making that happen, and also to all those who worked on getting that truck restored. I think it's still parked over here, isn't it, Chief? And my understanding is that the fire truck has now been cleared to drive in the Christmas parade on Friday evening, and will be driven by our fire chief. So I would encourage everyone to come out for that event, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. And also, I just would like to thank again Becky and Vallarie for their years of service to the council and to the town. Their guidance and experience has been invaluable to me. And also welcome Michelle and Judy to the council. Looking forward to working with you both, and looking forward to the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hawkins.
I think everything's been said, but I just want to let Vallarie and Becky know what a pleasure it was having them serve with us, and what a great job they both did. And I want to welcome the 2 new members, Michelle and Judy. I think we've got a great crew, and I think we've got a lot of positive things happening in the future. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Anderson.
Well, I want to echo all the thanks that we've given to Vallarie and Becky, because they have served us well, and it was our pleasure to work with them. And I want to welcome the 2 new members here tonight. Look forward to working with them, and to also talk about some of the stuff that's gone on. Our parada was a great success. Had a lot of fun. And if you didn't see the mayor holding on to the wagon when it turned around, we got pictures of white knuckles.
No such thing. Fake. Nope.
But anyway, it was so much fun. And if you missed the parade, you missed a lot. I want to invite everybody out to the Christmas light parade this next Friday night at 6 o'clock. Is that right? And also want to just share my appreciation with Karen of all the work she did on the fire truck. You forgot to mention CAC. Yeah, and the CAC, as part of the work that was done on the fire truck by the prisoners, they were actually in a CAC class, correct? And the warden told us that they used 6 gallons of paint to paint the fire truck. That's because they had to strip it several times, because the guys were learning how to paint. And if they didn't do it right, they stripped it and started all over again. But they did a beautiful job. CAC did a beautiful job training them. So we have, the thing that excites me about our council here, we have such a bright future in front of us. We think about, I saw something on the news this last week, and they were talking about, there was sort of doom and gloom, and there's a lot of that stuff going on, But we had a spaceship land on Mars. Yeah, that's, you think about that. And some of those parts were built here in Arizona. We have people that contributed to that. We have people that's contributing to our success here in our town daily. And our staff does a lot of good work for us. And we don't think about recognizing all the work that's done. And I just want to thank everybody for what they do for us. And I look forward to serving you as your vice mayor and hoping that I can contribute more. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think everything was pretty much said tonight. I do want to say, thank you, Vallarie and Becky, for all of your years of service. Welcome our new members. I'm looking forward to working with you. We're going to have a great time and accomplish a lot for Florence. I did neglect when I was naming out the boards and commissions. There are 2 commissions that we are going to be working on. One is the Redevelopment Commission, and a second commission is the Economic Development Commission. So more information is going to come because there's a process before we can actually get that formalized, but that is happening with council's approval. I have a advertisement I was asked to read for the neighborhood meeting notice. This is, the Town of Florence is considering amending the town's sign code and provisions to the town's parking requirements to bring these development codes up to date and consistent with other areas of the development code. A neighborhood meeting to discuss the proposed code amendments will be held as follows. And this will be on Tuesday, tomorrow, December 4th, from 5 to 6:30 at the Town of Florence Library and Community Center. And with that being said, I do want to say Lincoln is the best horse from the Windmill Winery, and we had the most fantastic driver. And at every intersection that we had, he did a little dance and did a little circle. Now, I might have hung on to the rail just a little bit, but that wasn't because I was scared. No. I was just hanging on. And I want to thank everybody who participated in the parade. It was an amazing turnout. Looking forward to this Friday night at 6 o'clock. So hope to see you all there. If it's your first time on council's float, families are welcome, and we love to sing. We do. We sing all the holiday classics. With that, we need a motion.
Let one of the new members make the motion.
You know what? That's a really good idea. We're bringing thermoses with hot chocolate in it.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
And we need a second?
I second.
Their first motion and second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned.